Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in JustFlight's Piper Arrow 3. Today we're doing some virtual flight training, taking off from India 69 Clermont County Airport and flying to Lunken Field to do some touch and goes and some full stop landings with taxi backs before returning back to our home field. This is a freeware airport, which has an interesting story about how I got it, so I will share that with you after we hop into the pilot seat and get started. Alright, we are parked here at Clermont County, and normally I have my buddy Floyd flying with me, but today I have my virtual CFI, Monica, sitting in the right-hand seat because we're doing some virtual pattern work. If you look over my left shoulder, you'll see that this is Sporties. So Sporties, I'm sure you're familiar with if you are a real-life pilot because you've probably bought a ton of stuff from them. And once you buy anything from Sporties, they will send you the Sporties catalog. And even though it's all the same stuff in it, you'll have to open it up and leaf through the entire thing like I do. So this week, I was leafing through the flight sim section, and something caught my eye. At the bottom, I noticed that they had an airport for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, which is Sporty's Field I-69 for free. So I got it. Let's take a look at it. It's awesome, isn't it? So let's get everything started up here. Our switches are all off. Our circuit breakers are all in. Our trim is set for takeoff. Alright, next we'll head back up here and we'll take a look and make sure that our prop is clear. We'll get the window opened up so we can call clear prop when we're ready. We'll get the battery on. Nope, that's the alternator. Nope, that's not the battery. It's a little hard with head tracking to click accurately on switches sometimes. There we go. We got the battery on. I could see 3 green for the landing gear. Left and right fuel tank are both showing full fuel tanks, so that looks good. Next we'll get the rotating beacon on to let everybody know that we're about to start up. We'll get this to the fullest fuel tank, which is the right-hand fuel tank. I will bring my prop lever full forward and crack the throttle. Clear prop. We'll head back down here. We'll get the fuel pump on, bring the mixture to full rich, bring the mixture back to idle cutoff, and turn the fuel pump back off. Crack that just a little bit. Got the keys in the ignition. And there we go. We've got ignition. Bring up the throttle a little bit. Mixture into full rich. A little too much on the throttle there. Did this in the wrong order. Should have really checked the oil pressure first before tinkering with the throttle, but I wanted to make sure it did stall. Alright, and our oil pressure is over here, and that looks good. Next, we'll adjust the throttle just a little bit and lean the mixture for ground operations. And that flashing orange light is the emergency gear extension, which is driving me a little crazy, so I'll head down to the switch here and turn that off. That looks good. Alright, I'll open up Foreflight and take you through the flight brief. So we are departing from an untowered field, which is Clermont County, or Sporty's I-69. We're going to fly a heading of 285 on departure and remain underneath the Cincinnati Bravo. The outer shelf starts at 5,000 and the middle shelf at 3,500, so we'll fly at 2,000 to stay underneath those. We're flying to Lunken Field, which goes up to 3,000 for its airspace. We'll be flying with preset weather because the real world weather is awful. You can see it's gusting up to 35 knots and overcast currently. That little icon is the wind barbs. To the left of that, I've got that enabled. It shows you 35 knots in a direction, and it doesn't look much better at Sporty's either. Today in the real world, there's also a TFR, which is for a Phillies versus Reds game. That's the big orange circle there over the stadium. So we'll have to be aware of that and not get too far past the river to avoid going into the TFR. It's much easier to see the airspaces if we go to the Flyways map. So on the Flyways map, it's much more simplified, and you can see the airports. You can also see that the flyways for Cincinnati are basically a big ring encircling the outside of the airport. So it doesn't even have flyways heading towards the inner rings of the Bravo. But doesn't matter, we're going to not get anywhere near the inner rings of the Bravo. On COM 1, we've got CTAF of 12297. On COM 2, we have 118.7, which is Lunken Field Tower. We'll be monitoring both of those, and you'll hear those broadcasting via liveatc.net in the background. Cormorant County traffic, Piper 6966 Whiskey, taxi from the ramp to runway 22, hold short, Cormorant County. Alright, game on. I will put the link for this airport in the video details. It will take you to the Sporty's webpage where you will buy it from them for free. And I can guess that they will start sending you Sporty's catalogs because they'll take all of your information when you do. However, it's a pretty good trade. Free airport, and there's a bunch of flight sim stuff in the catalog, so it's kind of fun to browse. No separate run-up area, so we'll stop at the hold short lines here. Flight controls are free and correct. Next, we'll down here and do our mag check. Go over to mag right, back to both. Cormorant County traffic, Piper 6966 Whiskey, departing runway 22, climbing to 2000, departing to the west, Cormorant County. Alright, as we are getting underway, I'll give you an update on my real-life flight lessons. So I finally got my review with the chief flight instructor, who did sign off for me to do my solo cross-country. I arrived a little early, so gave myself a self-tour of the hangar and took this video of the SNJ-4 Warbird, which is just awesome and monstrous. It's amazing how big that is compared to a Cessna. So next step for me is to take the plane solo over to our local towered field and get my 3 full-stop landings there. That's a requirement for your private pilot certificate. And then I'll go on my long cross-country solo, when the weather finally cooperates. Whenever I look at the weather lately, it looks a lot like the weather you just saw in Foreflight for this virtual flight, which is something like 18 gusting 24. Can you fly in that? Yes. Would I fly in that? No. So just kind of waiting for everything to be calm and to have a day that cooperates. Alright, we are rolling out here, and we're going to roll out onto a heading of 285, and once we do that, we're going to start looking for some visual waypoints. So we've got some great roads here that will be very easy to spot, and we're going to follow one of them practically to the field. Monica looks relaxed, so I must not be flying too badly today, so let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. Alright, that was a lot of fun. I love this airport. Great detail for it. And it's a training school, and it's fun to fly out of it and do a virtual training flight to a nearby towered field. It feels a lot like what I do at my untowered field, flying to the nearby delta for training. So if you enjoyed content like this, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.